This is the Anker SOLIX C1000 Gen 2 portable power station. I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it, because I feel like portable power stations are one of those things you don't really understand until you actually live with one for a while. I've been using this one for a mix of home backup stuff, charging my work gear, and a couple weekend trips where I wanted power without relying on a wall outlet. The basic idea is simple. It's a battery in a box with a bunch of outlets. This one is around 1024 watt-hours, and in real life that number only starts to make sense once you plug in the stuff you actually care about. For me, that's been things like a laptop and monitor setup, a router, lights, phone charging, and sometimes kitchen stuff like a kettle or a coffee machine. The 2000 watts of output is what made me choose it, because I didn't want to play the will it trip the inverter guessing game every time I plugged in something that heats up or has a motor. At home, I've used it during a couple short outages, and also just as a move it where you need it power source. The part I noticed right away is how convenient it is when you're not trying to power your whole house, but you do want to keep the important things running. I ran my internet gear and my laptop setup and it just felt normal. No weird buzzing from power bricks, no random shutoffs. I also tried it with a full-size fridge just to see what would happen. It can run it, and it's a nice feeling knowing you can keep food cold for a while. But you're still working with a 1 kWh battery, so you're not pretending this is going to carry you for days unless you're careful where you recharge it. The charging speed is the thing that changed how I use it. I used to think I needed a bigger capacity power station because I hate watching the percentage drop. With this, I got into the habit of just topping it up when I have the chance, because it charges way faster than the older units I've tried. I've owned a slower 1 kWh-ish power station before, and charging it felt like an overnight project. With this one, I can plug it in, do some chores, and come back, and it's basically ready again. That's been way more practical than I expected, especially if you're the type of person who forgets to charge things until the last minute. Port-wise, it's been mostly what I need. I like having USB-C that can actually run my laptop without dragging out the laptop charger. I've charged my MacBook and other USB-C stuff at full speed, and that's a real convenience day to day. The AC outlets work like you'd expect. One small annoyance: the outlets are a little close together, so if you have those big chunky power bricks, they can block the next socket. It's not a deal breaker, it's just one of those, okay, I guess this goes on the end things. Size and weight have been fine for me. It's not feather light, but I can carry it with one hand for short distances, and moving it from room to room is realistic. I've taken it out to the car, set it on a table, brought it back inside, no drama. The flat top is also surprisingly handy. I end up putting my phone or cables on it while I'm charging stuff. That sounds minor, but when you're in a hurry packing for a trip, it helps keep things together. Noise is something people ask about a lot, and I did worry about that before I bought it. Here's what I've noticed. When it's just powering small things, it stays pretty quiet. I've had it running a fan and charging devices, and I barely paid attention to it. When you charge it fast from the wall or you're pulling a lot of power, the fans are clearly audible, not subtle. It doesn't bother me in a garage or a kitchen, but in a quiet room, it's noticeable. If you're thinking of using this next to your bed while it's charging at full speed, you're probably not going to love it. For me, it's fine because I can choose when to do the fast charging. I also tried the UPS style use, where you plug your computer into it and it's basically standing by if the power cuts. I tested it by unplugging the wall power while my desktop was running, and my computer stayed on. That was a big reason I wanted it. I'm not using it as a serious server backup or anything, but for a normal home office setup, it's been reassuring. Solar input is another thing I cared about, mostly for trips. I don't permanently live off-grid or anything, but I like having the option. I've used it with panels, and it does take in a solid amount of power when the sun is cooperating. The reality, though, is solar charging depends on your panels, your angle, your weather, and your patience. On a good day, it's great. On a mixed day, you have to adjust expectations and just treat it like free extra power while I'm outside. One downside that might matter depending on what you're shopping for is expandability. Some other power stations let you add extra battery packs later. This one doesn't really give you that path. What you buy is what you're living with. For my use, that's okay, because I wanted something I could carry and recharge quickly. If you know you want a bigger battery bank later, I'd think about that before committing. Another small thing. I wish it had more of the older style USB-A ports. It has USB-A, but I still have random older cables and accessories, and sometimes I don't want to hunt for adapters. Not a huge issue, just something I noticed over time. So who's this actually good for? I think it makes sense for people who want a simple home backup plan for essentials, people who work from home and want their internet and computer to stay alive during short outages, campers who don't want to mess with gas, and anyone who values charging speed because they don't plan ahead. If you're trying to run heavy stuff like a space heater all night, or you want multi-day whole home backup, you'll hit the limits fast, because 1 kilowatt hour is still 1 kilowatt hour. Overall, I'm happy with it. It's been reliable, easy to live with, and it fits the way I actually use portable power, which is more, keep my key devices running and recharge when I can, and less, power my whole life off-grid for a week. If you've been on the fence, I'd mostly ask yourself what you want to power, for how long, and whether you care more about capacity or how fast you can refill it. If you've got questions about specific devices or runtimes, leave them in the comments, and I'll tell you what I've seen with my setup. I will update specific information about the Anker SOLIX C1000 Gen 2 portable power station in the comments. Don't forget to catch my next video.